Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going over my PrizePicks plays for NFL week number 6 for Sunday. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the final look video if you haven't yet. Posted that a couple days ago. But in this video, we're looking at 4 props. Let's go ahead and get started. If you want to join us, you can visit the website, check out Twitter for updates. Both those links are down below in the description. And let's go ahead and get started. So, like I mentioned, I have 4 props, a couple of them coming from that Bills-Chiefs game, which is just going to be an absolute barn burner and a shootout, slugfest. But the first game we're going to go with is going to be a receiving prop, and we're taking a running back here who's going up against a defense who's very banged up in the secondary, missing their best safety in Mika Fitzpatrick, also missing a couple of their top cornerbacks, and that is going to be Leonard Fournette taking the over 27.5 receiving yards. After a quiet start to the season, Fournette's been a lot more involved in the passing game recently. Last week, he had 10 targets, double-digit targets, as well as double-digit receptions. Ended up with 83 yards. He was just all over the place. Also did a pretty good job on the ground. Finished with well over 30 fantasy points. And this week, it's a good matchup. Pittsburgh's been giving it up in the air, and we know Brady and the Bucs offense, they love to throw the ball. So he caught 10 of 11 targets last week. Week before that, he caught 7 of 7 for 57. Another touchdown for him in the receiving. So both of his touchdowns this year have come through Tom Brady. And week before that, he had 5 grabs against the Packers. So he's been getting involved with the targets. That should continue against the Steelers. I feel like 27.5 is a very low number for Leonard Fournette, given how involved he usually is in the passing game. Another one that I like is we're taking a couple fantasy props, and this one just hasn't moved. It was the same exact number as it was last time the Chiefs played, which was on prime time, and Travis Kelce showed out with 4 touchdowns, and his fantasy score is still the same, even though he's absolutely been smashing this prop week in and week out. Don't know what it's going to take for them to move his prop over 16.5, but that is what we're taking. Travis Kelce over 16.5 fantasy points, especially in what should be a shootout against the Bills, especially with him being one of the only targets that's reliable in red zone situations. I mean, he's got a bulk of touchdowns already through the air, through Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be looking at him number one option. He doubled his fantasy total last week, basically with 33.5 against the Raiders, and against the Bills. Even though they do have a good defense, the Chiefs, they're at home. They're going to put up some points. It's going to be a back-and-forth affair. Kelce, with how likely he is to get into the end zone, he should be able to hit this over very, very easily. It's one of my favorite props on the board. And then right below that, we're taking the over 11 fantasy on Gabriel Davis. Davis has some good history with the Chiefs, going back to last year's playoff game where he put up 4 touchdowns and over 200 yards. And, having just 11 fantasy points. I guess PrizePicks just hasn't adjusted for what type of game this will be. That's a very low prop. I know they have Knox back and they got McKenzie back, but Davis is playing 90+% of snaps. There's going to be a lot of touchdowns thrown. If he gets into the end zone, you're basically just going to need a couple more grabs for him to hit the over fantasy. That should be very, very doable. So that's the other fantasy prop I like. And then the last one is we're taking a rushing and receiving prop. There's a bunch of value running backs this week. You have about 4 or 5 guys that below $6,000 that are going to get a good amount of work this week. But we're taking the over 79.5 rushing plus receiving yards on Darrell Henderson. So we know that Cam Akers is looking like he wants a trade. He wants out, even though he hasn't really done anything to deserve that because he's not been playing well. But Henderson is at sub 80 in terms of both rushing and receiving yards, getting the total for both of those. And he's involved in the passing game back-to-back weeks with at least 3 grabs for him. He's going to get a lot more carries. Akers had 13. Expect all those probably to go to Henderson. He should still be looking at 15 to 20 touches, I'd say. Panthers have been giving it up, 7th most fantasy points given up to running backs this year, top 10 in that category. Give up some rushing touchdowns as well, and Henderson will be involved in that. Not going to really help you with this prop, but he's involved in the passing game. They are looking for guys to step up besides Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee in the receiving game, so that could be Henderson as long as he gets more snaps, and I feel like 80 total yards for him is pretty low. So that's what I got. today for PrizePicks 4 props. Over 27.5 receiving yards for Leonard Fournette, over 16.5 fantasy. Travis Kelce, over 11 fantasy. Gabe Davis, and over 79.5 rushing plus receiving yards for Darrell Henderson. So best of luck. Let me know what you guys think of these props. There's definitely so many more that you can look to add. You can go with like a Dalvin Cook touchdown possibly. If I had to pick just a regular touchdown, if we know that Damian Harris, if once he gets confirmed out, then Stevenson over touchdown would look pretty good. Benjamin over a touchdown. But keeping it a little bit sweet, short and sweet in this one. Feel good about these 4. Let's get a sweep. Thank you for watching. Best of luck, and I will see you all next time.